Hey everyone, Shane here from Baker's Inc. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about pinpointers. Specifically, we're talking about the Minelab Pro Fine 35. I'm sure plenty of you have heard of it. Some of you have got one, maybe lots of you have got one. I've had quite a few issues with mine. I contacted Minelab, asked them a lot of questions, and I have had a response from them via email about all the issues that I've presented. So today we're going to be going through that, talking about what my issues were and what their response was. So sit back and relax, and here we go. So right now I'm going to start detailing each of those issues, and these are things that I've actually presented to Minelab as issues, and they've responded back to me via email, as I said earlier. I'm going to present those issues as I've presented it to them and tell you exactly word for word their response. Alright, so number one, on power up, the pin pointer used to just beep uncontrollably. So you turn it on, it just go off its trolley. I worked out that just by turning it off and back on again, it would clear the fault. Now sometimes it would do this 3 or 4 times in a row, so you just had to reset, eventually it would work. But this is really frustrating when you've got a hole open and you're digging a 21 target, which you think is a good gold coin, like a $1 coin or a $2 coin, and turns out that you can't get your pin pointer to switch on to find the flaming thing. At one point there, it just didn't work at all. I couldn't get it to reset at all. Their response was this. The Pro Fine 35 has a higher level of sensitivity in comparison to the Pro Fine 25 and will pick up more EMI, electromagnetic interference. So when you turn the Pro Fine 35 on, please switch it on with the tip of the pin pointer touching the soil. This will calibrate the pin pointer to the soil and you'll have less false signaling. Please note that the pin pointer calibration can drift over time, so after you have used it and begin to dig again, please switch it off, and when you're ready to use it again, turn it on with the tip in the soil to recalibrate. They're talking about operator error here with the pin pointer. Well, in my issue, my problems were far greater than just operator error. I learned a long time ago that with the 25, actually, that with soil balancing, you start the pin pointer with the pin pointer touching the soil when you turn it on, and it balances and stops this falsing, because I did get a lot of false beeping too with the 25, but once I started doing the ground balancing, it fixed the problem. I do that all the time with the 35, so that's not a problem either. But I'd like to add also here that this technique of soil balancing is not mentioned in any of Minelab's material. There's no mention of it in the manual that comes with the pin pointer, nor is there any reference to it on the internet. I merely found out through forums where other people have done it, and gave it a try, and it worked. Okay, so moving on to number 2, the waterproof capability along with the Equinox being waterproof. Unfortunately, the 35 let me down again. As soon as you turn the 35 on and put it in the water, it just goes off its trolley, like beeps erratically out of control. So of course, straight away my response was to turn the sensitivity down, which did actually stop the beeping, the erratic beeping. But in the end, you pretty much had to have the pin pointer touching the target to find it, which makes it unusable. And the other thing was, I thought about the ground balancing technique, so I figured if it's in the water and you turn it on, it should stop it, but that didn't work either. So what was Minelab's response to this one? This is a normal characteristic of mineralization feedback, depending on how much feedback is coming through. Salt water has a very high level of mineralization and will cause the pin pointer to act erratic. To help minimize this effect, please put the tip of the pin pointer in the water when turning it on to calibrate the pin pointer in the salt water. If this doesn't stop all the false signaling, you will need to turn sensitivity down 1 notch time until it's usable. Number 3, we're going to talk about the LED light. Now, on the 35, they have a little LED light right there. When you turn the pin pointer on, it comes on. Now, the LED light on the pin pointers that I have, both of them, was so dim that pretty much was a waste of time having them there. And one great thing about the old 25 was I could turn it on and the light, the pin pointers LED light was enough for me to dig a target. I didn't need to turn my headlamp on at all. So I mentioned that to Minelab, and this was their response. I have forwarded this feedback to our engineering team for review. Well, let's hope they fix that one. Okay, so on to number 4. This one is about the ferrous discrimination. So this feature was something that I was really excited to learn about. The Minelab 35 will actually make a different sound for ferrous and non-ferrous metals. So my experience has been that if you have a piece of steel in this end and a piece of copper in this end, and you get the pinpointer out and test it, it works. It does what they say it will do. But once you start digging items out of the ground and start detecting into the ground with the pinpointer, and you mix in rusting metal and you mix in corrosion and those sorts of things, the detector doesn't do what it should do. For me, I'd like to have, if that feature is going to be on a detector, I want it to be able to say, I'm ferrous or I'm not ferrous from the surface before I start digging. I just turned it off and I don't use it at all. Minelab's response on that one was that the Profine 35 has to reach full saturation of a metallic object before it will function correctly. If you have a small iron filing on the pinpointer, it will not be able to fully saturate it and will not give a ferrous reading. If it is a large steel object, such as a tin or a bag or a big nail, the pinpointer will reach saturation when it is close enough to the target and will give a ferrous reading. If the pinpointer is not calibrated to the soil correctly, it will also give a wrong reading. So moving on to number 5, the 35 is, in my opinion, way too quiet. When you're on a beach or in a windy location, if the speaker is facing away from you, you just can't hear it. The response from Minelab on this one, this has been discussed with our engineering team previously after some similar customer feedback, and your feedback has been passed on as well. Well, that's another one. Let's hope they fix that one too, guys. Number 6. So this is just, to me, is a basic ergonomics design flaw. So the on-off buttons are nearly flat, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Looking at this pinpointer, you can see there's the on-off button and there's the up-down button. Now, if you're wearing gloves, there's no way really that you can feel where they are. It's very difficult to locate that on-off button, especially at night. This also creates another problem. If you're turning that button on, where's your other finger? Sitting over the speaker. The first thing that happens is you turn that on, your finger's over the speaker, straight away you can't hear the thing, you don't even know if it's turned on. And what I'm finding is if I'm using this at night time, I've got to turn my headlamp on to find the button to turn it on. Not ideal. I don't like to have to use my headlamp if I can avoid it. We also had a response from Minelab about that one. I have forwarded this on to our engineering team for review. If Minelab guys are listening, simple fix for that one is instead of having the speaker there, have it here. So this is something new that wasn't in my letter to Minelab. On occasion, when I would invert the 35, and when I say invert, I mean if I'm detecting and then I turn it up this way, or if I lay it flat on the ground after digging a target, it just would start to beep uncontrollably. It would do it sometimes, not all the time. I did actually capture the pinpointer doing that a couple of times on video. I'll show that to you now. Have a look. These are my experiences with this product, and for the price I paid, realistically I've been less than impressed, guys. Just a couple of other things that I've heard through the grapevine. I've read that the battery compartment will not fit all 9-volt batteries, that you should be using alkaline batteries. Again, I haven't read that in any of the Minelab manuals. So Minelab guys, if that is the case, let's get that put into the manual as well. Something else that was pointed out to me was the serial number on the detector. If you have a look here on mine, that's the serial number right there. Over time, that's going to get rubbed off. For your warranty purposes, it might be a good idea to take that sticker off and stick it somewhere safe. Alternatively, the box does have the serial number on it. Hang on to your box, it should be right. But in all honesty, guys, Minelab have been brilliant with their warranty service. If something has failed, in my experience, they've just changed it out. No dramas, no questions asked, and that's where Minelab have been brilliant. Vibration function on the detector. This is another one. When you turn it on, you get the vibration function. You can't turn it off with the 35. I would like to see them change that. I use it all the time, but it's a personal choice thing, and to have that option would be great. I'd like to see a lanyard supplied that you can hook onto your belt. When you're detecting, you don't leave your detector sitting on the ground. You can buy lanyards aftermarket. There are suppliers who supply them with the detector. I think for the price we're paying, it would be good to see that with the detector. And one other thing would be wireless charging. I'd love to see that introduced to these. But just to sum up, I haven't done this to try to recommend what you should or shouldn't buy, whether you should buy one of these or not. I'll let you make your own mind up. As this is my third pinpointer and under warranty, I thought that everybody should see exactly how Minelab are handling this issue, because there is unfortunately a lot of bad press about Minelab's pinpointers out there. So I've got my new 35. A couple of my initial tests I've done. The light, I must say, is twice as bright as the other two that I had. The volume on this one is twice as loud as the other two I had. So it is quite possible that I just had two faulty 35s in a row. I'm going to keep an eye on this one, see how it goes. I haven't tested it in the water yet, but I will be doing so. It's my hope anyway that somebody out there has heard this, has seen this video, and can use those conclusions to help them make a decision on whether they want to buy one or not. That's it from me about pinpointers. I just wanted to do a short shameless plug on my channel before you go. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. It's Baker's Inc. I'll be uploading videos on the topics of detecting, product tests, detecting trips, tips and tricks that I've learned. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys, and happy hunting. See you next time.